is worth considering whether Meghan's claim of embodying Diana 2.0 holds true, as her actions reflect some of Diana's less admirable characteristics. This includes playing games with the press, criticize them like flying monkeys, only to lament when they turn against her. Additionally, Meghan has made accusations while conveniently forgetting her own transgressions and strategically seeking attention. Essentially, the excessive idolization of Diana's memory and the exploitation of her image by this couple are tarnishing her reputation after her passing. Frankly, the behavior also affects the perception of the Montecito couple. For instance, the practice of preserving strands of hair in a bedside box seems rather unconventional and unfamiliar compared to more relatable forms of remembrance, such as keeping it in a locket or a daily accessible drawer. Hindsight allows for a broader understanding, and over time, people become more comfortable sharing their personal experiences with the real person. In reality, Diana, like many individuals, had flaws. She could be vengeful when her insecurities were exploited, as Bashir shamefully did, going to the extent of using forged information to secure the infamous interview. As mentioned earlier, Harry's wife demonstrates a tendency to emulate others, like Jolie and Bessette Kennedy, in terms of fashion choices during her independent days. She also displays social mimicry to fit in with desired social circles, a common behavior seen at a much smaller scale. We need not reiterate the extensive list of celebrities or instances of closeness. We have already discussed the reasons and motivations behind it. However, let's not forget the initial stance of not desiring titles for their children, which seemed imitated by Princess Anne. Then suddenly they shifted gears, highlighting the importance of titles for their children, seemingly to align with the Duchess of Cambridge. Despite Harry's wife holding a higher rank than the Countess of Wessex at the time, the Countess's children were referred to as Lady Louise and Viscount Severn. Despite persistent attempts to delve into these matters, Harry's wife's major flaw appears to stem from a lack of inherent empathy or discernible emotional intelligence. On the other hand, Diana's flaw was that she operated emotionally from a subjective empathic standpoint. Consequently, there seems to be little common ground between the two. That is what is so uncanny valley about the wish fulfillment AI fan art, especially sisters-in-law, latently erotic snuggle pics of the Duchess of Sussex and HRH Princess of Wales. Now it is a glamorously aged Diana as a loving mother-in-law. Seeking approval as a result of her very broken family, Diana would likely have strongly opposed Harry's wife, and Diana used the press. Now that would have been a nuclear media war. These pictures do not prompt, "Ah, how lovely." They open the can of worms about Diana's need for adoration to counterbalance her family culture and the lengths she went to feed it. Diana's Life Revisited concentrates on her feat of clay, which is sad as it unbalances focus on the whole person's time. Shakespeare's Brutus is right. The evil that men do lives after them. The good is oft interred with their bones. I despair. Adopting the better values of people we admire is normal, laudable even. Co-opting their life because you cannot create your own is scary, and in this case, double-edged damaging. You don't need to be whip-smart to see this. And had Diana lived, the spiral into erratic and unstable behavior would have gone into a nosedive, and she would have been unprotected by Buckingham Palace PR. She had no idea how to manage any PR situation except her uncontested popularity, which Meghan thinks she had because of her inane pre-wedding PR campaign. That's why she's Diana 2.0 and not Diana 1.1. One thing that people forget is that if Diana had lived, she'd probably still be close to William and vice versa. As William got older, he'd probably have helped her navigate the press and life as well. I'm not saying it would have been healthy for him, but I just think when people say, if she had lived, they forget that her soulmate, William, would have grown into an adult taking care of her as best he could and putting out fires. He would have become a codependent mama's boy as an adult. Even if the Queen and his father tried to stop him, he'd be riddled with guilt anytime he was told not to help her. I also find it hard to believe she'd like Catherine, because with her emotional reliance on William at such a young age, she wouldn't be able to deal with him breaking away with a romantic relationship. Unless Catherine bent over backward to show they accepted their closeness. Regardless, if Diana had lived, William would not be the man we see today. It's amazing how William has become Diana's forgotten son when he was in fact her favorite. I'd say Harry was the favorite in the sense that she indulged him more than he deserved. Despite leaning on William and relying on him, she'd pick Harry over him in every dispute. William got to shoulder the responsibilities of a spouse. Harry was, in her eyes, always her baby. If we're going down the what-if codependency path, frankly, I don't think there's anything Catherine would have been able to do to gain Diana's approval, ever, no matter how much she bowed and bent over backward. And that would have resulted in a toxic marriage between her and William if they even got to the altar. Whereas Diana would have been, looking at his character in the past few years, rightly afraid of losing Harry's love, that she would have spread her all-sheltering, all-loving mama bird wing over Meghan too. The nightmare of those two getting blind approval from Saint Diana could have been the end of the royal family. Sadly, it's probably for the best she's not around. I don't think William would have grown up as healthy as he did in the end, or been able to make such a stable marriage, and he really needs both those things to succeed as future king. Can someone explain Diana's worship? She was childish, mentally unwell, and unwilling to serve as she was expected to. I understand she was a child bride to Charles, and he didn't want it as much as I adore Her Majesty the late Queen. I think she should have just let Charles marry Camilla from the start. Yes, she died young, but I do not think the British royal family organized it. It's just weird how much people adore her. The public didn't really see the unhinged actions or know the real stories behind what was reported at the time. Much of that became more known after she died. She was seen as a heartbroken princess who loved her prince, and Charles and Camilla were vilified to hell and back. People really rooted in her to find happiness after going through a messy divorce. And I know people around don't get this, but when HIV/AIDS came around, there was a lot of discrimination and uncertainty, and those diagnosed were shunned. People wouldn't even touch them or anything they touched. When Diana was photographed hugging someone with AIDS, it was huge, and it was the icebreaker to people becoming more accepting. She was an unstable mess and a huge headache for the royals, but as much as she used fame and media to manipulate opinions, she also used her fame and media to she's light and bring attention to the causes she cared about, and I do believe she cared about the suffering of others. What do you think about the negative copy of Diana through Meghan? Let us know your thoughts below in the comment section. We hope you found this video helpful. Don't forget to leave a like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you like it. Thank you for watching this newsletter. See you in the next videos. Goodbye.